everyone. Look how good we look.
How good we look, everybody. Let's see. Let's get the link. I'm going to send out the bat signal.
4 people watching now. Took no time at all. It's like people are waiting for the show to start. It's like we're in demand.
Ooh. That's great for a Monday.
Right?
Well, nobody wants to work on a Monday. I mean, you know, you just turn the show on. Cool. I got these things ready. I've got our videos ready. Got Nick Donlin here on the chat saying, what's it?
Woot woot.
I'm going to
Hey, Nick.
make sure that I send out Facebooks. Let's see.
Thomas is here. That's exciting.
And we got the Facebook's good to go, it looks like. So I think we're good.
Wow.
How's everybody doing, live streamers? Let's get on this. Let's
just do it.
show. Everybody's like, that's not Matt. What is going on? What's this?
Surprise.
Surprise. Okay.
I'm like the Wish version of Matt.
All right, and I got your reel. Okay, I think we're good.
Got Mark and Jason here.
Awesome, awesome. All right, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. So
Recording.
oh, see, we don't have to record anymore. We don't have to record
So
locally
nice.
anymore.
So nice.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound quite as good, but you know, whatever.
That's okay.
All right. Is my light? Did my light? Yeah, my light changed. Okay, good.
Sorry if
I just
I'm late.
No, you're fine. It's
Oh.
Miami. It's supposed to be bright.
Well, I'm in Tampa. I'm back
Or
in Tampa now.
Tampa,
But yeah,
that's
it's
right.
super bright. Sorry.
Yeah. It's Florida. It's bright there.
Yeah.
They're closer to the sun, I think.
And warm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cold here. We have snow. We have lots of snow.
I would dig a day of snow.
I would like it if we had more snowboarding, like mountains around here, but it's all flat. I'm in South Dakota, so it's like nothing.
Thomas said Matt got a little more handsome, so
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Just for that, I
Ooh.
am not going to shoot you in Halo next time.
Yeah.
Not that it
Nice.
matters anyway.
All right. I think we're good to go. I think we got everything here. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off, and we'll do a thing. Everybody feeling good? You all ready?
Yep.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Florida motion designer. Dozens of us.
We out here.
All right, here we go. What's up, and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I am not Matt. Instead, Drysen filling in this week. But I'm here to introduce the fantastic coffee addict, horror fan, and sci-fi fanatic, Darlene Sanchez.
Hey guys.
Hello. Welcome,
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you.
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or
just
working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Questions, comments, concerns, queries, grievances, artist suggestions, show topic ideas. We're on mograph.com, mograph.com/live if you want to check out the live shows and see what's coming up. And we're also on YouTube. Just check out @Mograph and you're going to find us. We're all up in the YouTubes. So, yeah.
Well, good news. We
Yeah.
made it to the intro. Nothing has
did.
imploded yet, so
Not yet.
this is a good day. Successful shoot. All right.
You
good
can see
Monday.
we're Christmassy. We're Christmassy. We got the tree up here. We got the graphics, you know, like you do. We're ready for the holidays, and so we got a couple things that we wanted to talk about first. It's a busy week. Oh, and I didn't put this in the notes, and I just thought of it, and I need to remind everybody. Make sure you come to the Colorado C4D meetup this Thursday night. Sean Astrom is going to be giving a presentation, and I'm going to be there as well. Going to be in Colorado, so make sure you come say hi. So
Just a second,
I
I'm
almost
gonna
forgot
book a plane
about that.
ticket real quick here.
Yeah, just go do that real quick. Also, we've got some. Coincidentally, we've got some things going on in Mograph. I've got a new thing out, and Drysen has a new thing that he is going to share with us. Do you want to give some? Background first before we show the video, or what do you?
Yeah, let's do that. So, stemming from Camp Mograph, I had a really fun conversation with Amanda Russell and Dave Swain of Cream Studios, and they said, "Hey, you should do a podcast or something." And I am not a smart man, so instead of just doing like we're doing right now, I decided to go all in live production, fly to Virginia, like go to the nines. And so what you're about to see is a small snippet from my new podcast, which will be releasing sometime in 2023. Frame 1. We're talking about that.
All right, let's check it out.
Let's see it.
Typically, when you're freelance, you are hired for a very specific part of the project. You are doing the animation, you are doing the storyboards, but rarely are you doing the entire gamut of work. Was that your bread and butter? Like, was that what you guys were like when you were freelancing? And then how did that change from being a studio owner to just that precision piece to doing the entire gamut?
There was an evolution because we had to earn the trust with our existing clients that had stayed with us since being freelance alone. And so we really kind of had to have those conversations with them, hey, we're comfortable doing this and that, and what do you, come to us earlier in the project, and we can kind of help you to understand what the limitations or the possibilities are of animation.
Did it take a long time for that shift to happen?
I would say, for some it never happened.
Yeah,
we lost clients, yeah. But for others, a couple years, I would say.
Yeah, so tell us about it. What are your plans? You doing like hundreds of episodes? What do you got in the pocket?
So fun fact, behind the scenes, we can't hear this as it's playing live. And watching me talk on there, that's a really long time of watching myself talk in silence. I was like, wow, I should shut up now. Yeah, so the Frame 1, first off, I got to give mad love to Nick Donlin and his wife, Lindsay. They came down from New York all the way to Virginia, drove down to film it. Nick's been editing it, and so I've been really hands-off with the creative side, which has been really, really nice. Goal-wise, I'm hoping to shoot for 8 episodes, 1 a month in 2023, launching sometime in spring or summer, depending on sponsorships, that kind of stuff. And then I want to bump that number up to like 15 to 20 for 2024. So that's it. Whole goal is to explore the emotional journey that studio owners, freelancers, influencers experienced during their early years of their career, going from full-time employed to freelance, from freelance to studio owner, to help inspire the next generation.
And Darlene's probably like, okay, now I get what it is. We should have shown you the video before. Like,
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the full thing, man. Tell Nick, come on, get to work, Nick. Come on. Get
At this point, it's more waiting for the sponsorships to come through and stuff. And Jags, I got to give him some love too, because Jags is also giving a hand with this as well. So I'm excited. It'll be really cool. So everybody in the comments, let me know if it was sponsorships. That's what we've done.
If you're watching,
That was a cool
come on.
concept.
Thank
Hit
you.
up Drysen,
Thank you.
you know? I failed to mention Matt. The reason Matt is not here, he's at Disney World. Did we say that? He's there for his birthday.
It was his birthday.
Hey.
Yeah.
Should we all take a moment to sing happy birthday to Matt?
We'll think it in our heads.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll mouth it. I'm not actually saying.
Fun fact, it's somebody's birthday every day.
I did not know
Isn't that
that.
crazy?
Now I do.
So we've all got stuff we're gonna show off today. We're graphic artists, so we always got to be selling ourselves, right? Like what we're working on and things. So now it's my turn. I'm gonna show something I worked on. I'm really proud of this. I have been in this industry making things for other people for so long, the occasional daily and things, right? But like mostly I'm working for other people. Mostly I'm talking about other people's work, but I haven't had a chance to actually make my own thing. So I finished a thing last week, and so I'm going to show it off. Gotta push myself, right? Here we go. Here is my entry. This is actually I guess I'll give some background. I had done a short piece that was a few seconds long earlier in the year, and I really wanted to expand on it. I had an idea for it. Didn't know how I was going to do it. The Minerva challenge thing came out. I said, hey, I'll do this with the Minerva stuff because it will work with what I had in my head with what I wanted to do with this. And then at the same time, I needed to do a lot of pyro, and I was starting to use TFD, and I'm like, I keep hearing rumors about Maxon doing this pyro thing, and if they do, I'm going to jump on it in the middle of this piece and see if I can make it work in that time. So I used all the new Maxon pyro. So it also helped me finish my demo reel. So this had many functions for me. And I spent about 11 days over the period of a month absolutely just not sleeping and putting this together. So without further ado, here is Minerva Z.
11 days.
Nice.
Give it up for Dave.
It's dope.
It was dope.
Thank you.
So Dave, out of that entire project, what was the most difficult thing you had to tackle?
Oh God, man, that's a question. I had many crashes, and I don't really blame anything except for myself for being ambitious, overly ambitious with what I was trying to put into one scene. The pyro was not that bad. I don't know. It was just the time crunch, I think, was the hardest thing. Like trying to make it happen in a certain amount of time, with some of those pyro scenes and caches being huge, like almost 300 gig of caches, VDB files, all of that, making things explode that aren't exploding right, using advection. The list goes on. I'm going to show it after Sean's presentation in Colorado. I'm going to show it off and maybe take some questions for like 10-15 minutes or something. And I do plan on doing behind the scenes, so if you follow Mograph Dave on Instagram, and if you follow Zeta .art, I think the tag is Zeta Renders, that's the handle on TikTok, I'll do some behind the scenes. I'll show all sorts of breakdowns and things that challenges, things like that. I feel like I could do like 100 TikToks on it. Like I could go through each scene and show like things that I learned. It was a huge learning experience for sure. So
Yeah,
I'm
11
glad
days.
that's
Was
over.
that a self-imposed deadline, or is that just what it ended up being?
Well, Kit Bash is having a contest, and the deadline was
Oh.
on the 2nd. And I was like,
Got
if I'm going to do this, I would like to enter it into the contest. I'm really doing it for me, but I would like to at least enter it. It's a free pack that they were giving out for the contest, and I'm like, well, so it was good for me to have a deadline. I don't know about y'all, but like, if I'm going to do my own project and I don't have a deadline, it just never gets done. That's why
I
I've
feel
never,
that.
The same way.
I feel that.
So, yeah, but so that's that. And
We have one more
now,
video to watch, right? Darlene's
onto
demo reel.
the best video.
Why we're all here. Our guest of honor.
Mostly updated.
I hope that this works. We snuck your video here in the playback at the last second, so if something doesn't work right, don't sue me. All right, so let's check
about it.
this out. Here we go. It is silent at the beginning, so. Nice.
Very nice.
Thanks.
For anyone that's not sports oriented, NHL is hockey. So, fun fact.
Wait, what?
That's all NHL. Tampa Bay Lightning is hockey. Just making
Oh.
sure that anyone not
Yes.
familiar knows
Yes.
what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Motion
National
graphic
Hockey
designers
League.
are, we're not big sports fans, right? We're not very physical because we
Yeah.
sit at our desk all day, So, might not know what sports are. So we showed off our stuff, and now we're gonna dig into all of your stuff for the rest of the episode. Now, if you are listening on audio, I apologize because you just heard us play a bunch of audio stuff, and so you're gonna have to get online and check it out. We were talking about this before the show. I guess I don't think a lot of people realize that we do this show on YouTube, and you have a handful of people watch live. You have maybe 500 to 1,000 people watch after the fact. But there's 30,000 people that listen on iTunes. And so we try and make sure that we're not being, or we try to make sure we're descriptive when we're talking about things, so people can kind of understand when they're driving to work and stuff, And so make sure that you go check out this reel online, and so that you can follow along and you know what we're talking about. So we're going to dig into everything, but before we do, you just got back from Art Basel, which is awesome.
Yes.
I didn't realize you were there. I didn't see you in any of the B-reels this week, so I saw Minor, I saw who else? Drysen, you were watching,
I didn't
right?
follow it at all.
Really?
Nope.
Maria
I am
was
in
there?
the dark.
You haven't been on B-reel looking at what Maria and everybody's posting? I saw
Be real.
I just figured they were walking around New York. I didn't know what was going on.
Byron.
I
Yeah. Sorry.
was hanging with all of them actually. McNor, Maria, Byron.
See, you weren't in the photos. See, so I didn't know you were there.
Kind of hide from the photos, but I have several photos. I just got back last night, so I have to start sharing my own.
How
But
was
that's
it?
interesting. It was amazing and overwhelming for someone that's new to it. So I'm still processing everything I got to see in the past 3 days. It was definitely one of those times where it's you're having too much fun, it just flew by. And so I'm going through my pictures now, even oh yeah, we did this on Friday and that was so sick, and oh, this was Saturday, oh, and this was on Sunday. But yeah, that was mind-blowing, just the art installations, to see physical stuff and the digital artwork, just everywhere you look, you can just be walking on the sidewalk and there's art on the sidewalk, it's literally everywhere. It was a huge phenomenal vibe that I definitely want to go again next year.
How well, actually, did you see a lot of pieces of people you knew? I know I saw a photo of Brodor's Blockbuster thing on a big LED wall. I can't get a sense of where things are when I'm watching on social media,
Yeah.
So
Well, it was literally everywhere. So I did say Blake's piece at the, what was it called? Meta something. They took over 2 blocks of downtown Miami, and there was just the galleries and stuff everywhere. So I saw her piece, which was amazing, and got to see her as well, and she's phenomenal. Trying to think, there was just so many. Saw a couple of Fuck Render pieces.
was he there?
I don't know.
It's still going on,
I didn't
right?
see him. I think it ended yesterday.
Oh, it ended yesterday. Okay,
I think.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw several. I just can't think of a few right now because there's just that many.
I saw, I think Blue Woods, who's in the chat sometimes. I saw saw a picture of that somewhere. I don't remember where. Who else? I saw video from Shams of Winkleman doing his thing, being crazy, and I think that's all I remember seeing. But I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of stories, especially this week going into Colorado. The Aryevs are going to be at the meetup, and I'm sure we'll hear all sorts of fun stories.
Yeah,
you're not going to have fun
I
at
got to
all.
see them too.
Oh,
and,
yeah?
Yeah, and Victor Dimitrov was there too. We're all hanging
Yeah.
out. It was very good vibes. Very good vibes. So you'll definitely see some stories throughout the week as we collect everything and airdrop and share all our videos.
Right.
Like there's
So
a
if you
few
had
that I still waiting on. Like
if you had to pick one highlight from the entire event, what's that one highlight you'd want to share with the rest of us?
there's really too many. But the one I was just telling my roommate last night because it like blew my mind. It was like an art installation inside the PAM Museum. I forget what the acronym is. It's like Perez something Museum in downtown Miami, and it was like a illusion like exhibit. So there was this like hallway that was just all painted black and dark, and then you walk in there and you're like, what is this? Because there's like nothing on the walls, but you look down and it was a sidewalk with the sewer cap and everything, and you see kind of light peeking through on the bottom left. So then obviously you go down, you see like puddles of water, and then you look up under, and it was like a projection of just like a city street of like just apartments. So then that's when you realize the whole concept was that you're peeking up from the sewers. So
That's
then,
legit.
which was cool. I'm like, oh yeah, what's up, Georgie? So then all the it jokes came through is like everybody's like figuring it out at the same time, like what's going on here? So that one kind of really blew my mind. So it was just more of that kind of stuff too, that experiencing it physically that stuck out. But yeah, there's plenty more experiences I just have to think of still.
No, that sounds super immersive, which is fun
Yeah.
versus just seeing a piece sitting there. That's super cool. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I really want to go at some point, maybe next year. It's just this time of year is tough, right? With the holidays and stuff. And, I would love to check it out sometime because it really feels like a great vibe. But it also feels a little bit different because these are people who came from, some people came from this industry. Some people came from kind of another, I don't know where they came from. People who got into crypto who weren't into motion design, I guess, before. And it sounds like it's such a great mix and such a great group of people in general. Everybody talks about how great the vibe is. So
Yeah, I had an amazing time. And shout out to McNor, who's local and guided us throughout Miami because we would have been lost.
And did Victor get I saw a photo, he got a tattoo or something. Not there, but I think he just got his.
Yes, he has a dope full sleeve of his own artwork. And mad props to him for getting it done. Like, because at camp, he just had like his logo.
Right.
So, like, I think if you add up the time, it's like maybe 4 days total where you get a whole freaking sleeve.
Ow!
Which is savage and
Wow.
pretty hardcore. But yeah, no, his tat's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, anything else in particular at oh, by the way, okay, Basil or Basil? I'm so confused.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I've been saying basil, but I've heard both.
See,
Um,
like I know when people say actual basil, like the herb,
Herb.
the herb,
basil, yeah.
they'll say basil, but I hear people say basil, like maybe it's a European thing. I don't know, but I'm like, does that apply to this? Like, where's the name from? What is the reason for calling it that?
No idea.
Am I just like uncultured? I don't understand.
You have to pick your pronunciation by how much flair you want to have. So if
That's
you
what
want
I
to be,
was
hot stuff, basil.
Sound
See,
fancy.
I
Art
feel
basil.
like it's kind of like frou-frou. It makes you feel more frou-frou.
Miami?
No, just saying
Yeah.
basil. It's just fancy. Like I
Art
think maybe
basil.
Art
It's all about the
basil.
emphasis.
Have you
Oh,
been
yeah.
to
Basil.
Basil? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, the outfits were pretty out there too. The fits, everyone was just going all out.
Mhm.
No, highly recommend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, what do you
Um,
think, Dave? Should we dive into like some of your history here, Darlene, and check out
Absolutely.
like your
Yep.
stuff?
Yeah.
So, did a quick, not a deep dive, but graduated Art Institute, and basically immediately got a job as an intern at the Tampa Bay Lightning, and you've been there ever since.
Yes.
I'm curious because that's like a 20,000 person stadium. Being there from intern your entire career, that very first time like you saw your artwork up on the board, imagine it's a pretty cool feeling, right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
What was that like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite memories that I have from working. One in particular where it really just hit me like what it is that I do is during one of our playoff runs back then. It was just a simple like kinetic text piece, and like the whole purpose of it was just to get the crowds to start screaming right before our players come onto the ice. And so it was just like something simple, like behind these doors they can hear you, and then now let them hear you, super epic music, lasers, smoke. And then as soon as those words came up that said let them hear you, like all 20,000 people just, and it like it was like when you're close to the stage at a concert and like your ears start getting like the ringing and the blowing out. And like that was the experience, and that's like when it kind of really hit me, like, okay, this is why I do this. And that was like a pretty epic feeling. Yeah, because most of the time you're just downstairs at your desk with no windows.
Yeah.
You know, staring at the computer.
I was going to ask you about that too, because there's a feeling of you're not the graphics operator live, I'm assuming, right? You're doing the animation and somebody else is running it.
Yes, though I have in the past, not anymore.
Okay.
And that's really stressful. More stressful than getting your work on time.
It is very stressful trying to do live stuff. And I used to do some tours, and during some of the breaks we would do, you know, the same kind of graphics on the screen. It was with the whatever local show we were with. It was a little different than doing like sports graphics, but I do remember doing stuff like make some noise or whatever, and I was also the operator, and there was this weird feeling of power. You hit the button and then all these people scream, like just the feeling of like making something and then people are like responding to it is really
dance,
really
my puppets,
fun.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The way my boss likes to describe it is that we're making memories, and that's the way we approach it. Like we're just creating that memory to last for however long, because you know, not everybody goes to every game. You know, for some person that's just the one game they go to that year. So it's like we have an opportunity to really create like a really great experience, even though it's just a hockey game at the end of the day. But so then you get more for your money. You have a good time when you're there. And then it's a whole team thing. It's not just us. It's like the concierge where you go buy food and customer service, everything. Like we focus on creating that experience for whoever comes to the stadium.
That's something my old boss actually used to bring up a lot when we were on the road, because you would do a bunch of shows, right? You know, you're number 40 of the year or something, and you're worn out and you're tired. And he would say, just remember, this is the first time any of these people have come to this show, you know? And yeah, it's about the experience, right? You know, you want them to have a good time. You might get kind of bogged down in the day-to-day and forget that when you're super tired and your render's crashing and you know all the things. So I want to go back to school just a little bit though, because I'm going to assume, like many of us, you didn't, you know, at 5 years old say, hey, I want to do sports graphics. There's always such an interesting journey of everybody, for the most part, like getting to where they are. Hindsight's 2020, but you would never, for most people, I would assume they'd say they never imagined that this is how they would get where they are. So how exactly did you start the path to get to where you are right now?
I would definitely say as a kid, I drew a lot. I went through a phase of drawing horses because I really loved the movie Black Beauty.
All right.
So I remember focusing on like their joints and the hooves. I had to just get it just right as like a teenager. And then I went through a phase, like I think everyone kind of does this too, where you keep rewriting your name in like different fonts, except you don't know it at the time that you're just creating fonts with your name. So I went through that phase too. And I also went through, I don't know what the proper name is, but when you, the clay that you can put in the toaster oven and like you can mold it into stuff.
Oh, yes. I know. It's like kind of a white substance, like a white.
Yeah, or color. Yeah, you can buy it in
orange
color.
fish
Yeah, and I used to. I went through a phase where I made little frogs for fun, and I would just give them to like family members and friends.
Nice.
And then like after that, I just kind of like started dabbling in like different mediums because I just loved making stuff. So like I went through a phase of like black light paint, so you could like appreciate it with the black light on. So I did kind of like Andy Warhol style with like different colored mushrooms and neon colors for the black lights. I did like self-portraits. I've done random stuff for friends. Like I had a friend hit me up to paint on his Converse Chucks. and it was 2 Pokemon. I wish I could remember which ones they were. It was
We'll
the
just say
purple guy
Pikachu.
with the teeth. Not
Haunter?
Pikachu. It was
See, Matt would
one of
know.
one of
Got
the
a Haunter
villains.
or
Yeah, he was purple. That's all I remember.
Atkins, got the steak. I don't want to spend an hour. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then even random stuff. I had a friend actually commission me to do Sharpie art on his motorcycle. So he had bought like a white road bike. So I remember having pieces of this motorcycle case, or however you call it, in my room, in my lap, and I'm just drawing like abstract stuff with a paint marker.
That's super cool. I've
So,
got
like-
a bus if you want to come do that same thing.
Yeah, sure, I gotcha. So like my journey's been like up and down a little bit, just like random. Like I just kind of like to explore and just play around and just see what I learn.
But it seems like you've always been involved in the art realm in that way,
Right.
though. So
Yeah.
going from a physical medium to a digital one, what was that like for you?
It was kind of overwhelming. I remember in college, because I eventually, when I just started just going to college, I just took every art class I could take. And then when I was at the Art Institute and learning more of the technical stuff for digital, I remember thinking about even specifically 3D, because they trained us in 3ds Max and Maya at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll do this for class, but I don't think I can do this. I'm not about this texturing and modeling. Like, get out of here.
Mhm.
Like, I'd rather like stick with my 2D space and just do it that way. But then, I don't know, I just eventually like started exploring with it more. And like, by the time I was done, like I had learned about Cinema 4D, like doing research as you become a senior, like, oh, where do you want to go? You know, do your research in the industry, you know, focus on where you want to go and like learn about that specifically. And that's how cinema came up. So then I started self-teaching myself the Cineware and After Effects is how I got into it. But it was so much easier than 3ds Maya and 3ds Max.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that was probably the range where I was like starting to gravitate to 3D. Because I love creating just like environments and just messing with the models and the lighting and make it super dynamic and like moving inside the space. And then eventually that's what I gravitated to.
But how did you decide to go to the Art Institute? Because you were taking art classes, but like how did you decide, oh, you know, this is what I should get into. I should go here for this reason.
Well, I first started doing this research about what I should even do, because I did go through a phase where I took anatomy and physiology and failed, which is pretty epic because all you have to do is memorize body parts. That's how I learned. I was like, you know what, I need to stick with art because this is not for me. So I eventually, I don't remember how, but I started talking to a counselor at the Ringling College of Art and Design. And like I just kind of explained my background, like, look, I just like to draw, paint, but I'm also like huge TV addict. Like I love sci-fi, horror, fantasy. Like this is what I'm into. And that's when I wish I could remember his name, but he's like, I feel like motion design and visual effects is something you'd like. So that's kind of where it started.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year after that, I just kind of ended up gravitating towards Tampa because my mom already lived here. And then it was just more cost effective just to go to Tampa. And then that's where I've been for the past 8 years, I think. I've moved up here in 2015 from a little small town in the middle of Florida.
And so tell me, how long have you been in your position at this point? How many years?
Well, I'm currently the creative motion graphics manager, which is actually just a few months old. But I've been a designer for the Lightning for the past like 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what is a typical day designing for them? Like what is your typical day like doing sports graphics?
Say lots of last minute things.
Right.
Because the killer about sports is that it's very fast paced. So no matter how far ahead you plan, there's always something else that's going to come up. Like, for example, this past week I worked ahead to make sure I was good because I knew I was going to be out a few days. But then the captain of the team reached his 1,000th point in his career, which is a big deal. So it required a whole full new set of graphics that one of my team members had to step up and create just in a matter of like 2 days. So it's really random. But on average, just as we plan ahead, we know all right, on this date, we're playing against the Detroit Red Wings. So we need to have all this stuff specific to Detroit ready.
Right.
We want to promote this for Wendy's or something, or sponsorship needs us to promote this. So we're going to build this out. But then there's also stuff, December 14 and 16, we're going to do Christmas. So every single thing we built during the summer has to be transformed to look Christmassy. So you work for like the immediate stuff, but then you also work ahead on the random stuff. And then what makes it random also, it's like sometimes we help our video guys or the social media team. So sometimes it's the 1920 by 1080, or, you know, we're a sports arena, so then it's all our LED ribbons, like 17120 by 36.
I know, it's like this
like
gigantically wide thing by like a couple pixels.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's quite random what you get with.
Talking about those tight deadlines, I think I read somewhere like the 2020 season was a little bit of a time crunch because you guys didn't know if there's going to be a season.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What was that like?
Very stressful because, like, you already know, like, you're going to be a certain amount of busy every year because hockey season starts in October. So usually we are crunched during August and September to get everything ready. But because of COVID, obviously we didn't start in October. Like, we didn't know when we would come back because there was this whole thing, you can't have crowds at all. You know, so there was a stage of time where it was just the players playing with very few people in the arena. So they would start feeding like crowd noises to make it kind of sound normal.
Yeah, that's funny.
Which was totally wild. And then us as, you know, kind of like live production, we were kind of still there anyway in the background, just making sure everything was okay. So just seeing that was just kind of strange. And then they staggered it out by, 1,000 people can be in here, 2,000 people can be in here, and 3,000. But even then, we just didn't know. So we typically know by, like, say July what our look's going to be, and then we start building it in August, September. So at the end of December, we didn't even know if we would start. It would have been January. Obviously, since we didn't know, the look wasn't finalized then. So, like, you normally have, like, 3 months. And I remember then it was like, holy shit, we have 3 weeks to get this all ready. And like, I remember sitting in the office, some people were kind of chill, like, all right, we're gonna start here and here, here. And by then it was just me and one other kind of just knocking out stuff, my buddy Nash. And I just remember looking at it and I'm like, we have 2.5 weeks to get this done.
Pretty sure at that point
like,
I've been like, I've got to go change my underwear because that's stressful.
Yeah, nothing improves performance like the last second.
Oh yeah. The way I see it, no matter what I do from now on, if I ever leave sports or whatever, I am ready for any situation because I've been through it all.
Do you have to plan ahead too? You were talking about like he was about to hit his thousandth point.
Mm-hmm.
Were you planning that ahead of time, or did he already hit it and you were doing like a tribute? Do you have to plan ahead for that kind of thing?
It was plan ahead. My boss caught like the stats and were like, oh, in this game, there's a chance that he could hit 1,000. Oh, in these past 2 games, he got 6 points alone. So in theory, he would get 1,000 this points. So we kind of knew to prepare. And then we never do things simply as much as we'd like to. So my boss is a madman, but he's great. So more things will get added to make it into a whole big thing. And it ends up great. From what I understand, it turned out great and got great compliments and stuff, and it like went off pretty good.
Is there ever a point when you're in a situation like, okay, we've got this idea, it's almost built, you're adding more on top of it? At what point are you just like, okay, we've got to like scale back a little bit, or is it just balls to the wall, let's get it done?
No, you definitely have to reach a point where you're like, okay, we can either do this or we can do this. Which one's more important to you, and we'll do that. Like, I've had to say that a few times. But most of the time we'll get the most important part of it done. And if we're good, even on game day, like hours before the show goes live, if we feel like we can push it, we do. Or we'll do stills. Or like I've done it before where I'll render out a PNG and then I'll just like make it just scale up or go up and down. But since like for me, like I work in 3D all the time, it's easy for me to put a nice bevel on it, a nice metal that I know that works and reflects right, nice HDRI. and I make it look expensive, like my boss
Yeah.
likes to say.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you wouldn't know it. You know, we just made this in an hour. It's all right. But we
So
planned this the
that's-
whole time.
With that in mind, then you must be delivering renders like hours before the show starts. Anytime that's kind of bit you in the butt a little bit?
Oh yeah. There was one time, thankfully it was just like an extra thing. It was for Halloween last year, where just things just kept adding up. It's definitely like death by 1,000 daggers sometimes. And we have these screens we call the quads on the concourse area, and they're like a huge wall of a screen. And I love them especially when we do themes, because it's a photo opportunity for fans. That, like, I think it's so cool, and I think we're definitely pushing that more this year too, to have those ready ahead of time. So it came to Halloween, I was just too swamped, and it was a render. Obviously we render those out in 4K, and like it rendered out maybe half an hour after doors open, so it was just too late for the guys to put it up, which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
And so it just depends. So there is a point in the day where you're like, okay, what's going to get seen more? What's more important? What has more grandiose attached to it? Or is it something that's going to be up for 15 seconds? That's just a still. We're going to live. It's okay.
Right.
Most people won't know the difference.
Yeah, Paul says coming from WWE, he feels your pain. I'm sure he's dealt with that a lot too.
Yes, we've seen things.
I've done a lot of live graphics and a lot of sports graphics, but not a lot of live sports graphics. Something that one of our clients says a lot of time is premium textures. You know, it's kind of a joke that an ongoing joke that we have is premium textures, right? These sports graphics packages have to have like this polished look to them. They've got to keep up with the times. It's something that we work on a lot doing stuff for Madden. Is it, you know, there are trends, there are things that change. Sports graphics always do tend to have like this kind of like shiny
Metallic,
you know,
look.
metallic truss and, you know, all of that. But some of the stuff, you know, kind of like if you look at Thursday Night Football, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's going to kind of a flat look. So how do you kind of keep up with trends? How do you look at other sports packages? How do you keep things fresh, and how do you come up with new ideas in an industry that kind of has a look to it, you know?
Yeah. I like Behance a lot. I feel like there's a lot of inspiration there to pull from. There's a new package from ESPN. I think it's just from this past year, which is phenomenal. Like, I used that as my inspiration for this year's look. And it's more of like a high-res 3D with super dope 4K textures with just like 2D text. And that's kind of like what the trend is now, and like where it's going. According to Eric Say, I met him recently at a sports conference that he spoke at, and that he touched base on that actually, and it was like pretty mind-blowing because he showed us that, and I was like, all right. So it's kind of like word of mouth, or when you see what another team does, you kind of get inspiration from that too. But the big driver for us specifically too, and each team is a little different, is that we change our look every single season. So like the one season after we won the Stanley Cup, like our look was metal, you know, shiny metal, just kind of like an ode to the cup. But then like this year it was see the thunder. So you're having to physically see electricity and thunder, which was a great concept, but really hard to pull off because it's like, you know, you're right. It's mostly shiny and stuff, but here it's like grungy and trying to have like displacements, but at the same time we're building out templates. So like I really need this to export out in 4 minutes. I can't be waiting half an hour when I need like 30 of the same template to be exported out. So it's kind of a blend of like kind of what's trending by what we see, also based off of what the creative looks like from our marketing graphic design department, and then just kind of what works for what we need. Like this year it's a 3D environment with 2D text because that just works. Like in the past we've used Element 3D text, but it just started crashing too often, and then it would bump up our render times to 15-20 minutes, which is just brutal when you need like 10 different titles for the next game.
It's my title and I want it now.
Yeah.
Eric Say, by the way, gosh, love his, and he does this full time all the time. Sports graphics for lots of people. Just
Yeah.
if you've ever seen any of his breakdowns, him and I actually have kind of an ongoing thing that we talk about now. We talk about the whole concept of, are you living in a simulation, all that stuff. He's a really great guy. If you ever have a chance to sit down and talk to him about this type of thing, if you're interested in sports graphics, but yeah, check out his work.
Yeah, I got to talk to him in Nashville, actually. No, he's a pretty cool dude. Yeah, and I saw that they just did a package for the World Cup for Telemundo, which was pretty sick.
Yeah, we had a conversation though, and about like batching stuff and all of that, right? And I've had to do a little bit of that. I don't know how much. I'm interested how much you have to do as far as like batching. Do you? Obviously, you play a lot of games and you play all these different teams. Do you have a bunch of graphics that are like, okay, we have to have 20, 30 versions of this because it's got to be every single opposing team? Or are you doing like custom stuff for each game? Like, what is the balance there?
Well, it's definitely templatized, and it's only custom if it's a special game. So like we have Hockey Fights Cancer every year, so we have to do everything in lavender. So that would be specific to whatever team we play that day.
I see. Okay.
But on average, yes, like we call them matchups. So that's one of the ones I personally work on, where it's in the same look. And I actually built it out with XRefs, which I learned from you guys when I was on the 3D Motion show, where I have the XRef attached to the opponent logo. So it's easy for me to go in, change it, and then I just change the colors and some extra stuff that I have in the project.
That's great.
And then the brutal thing about those, though, is the whole arena aspect of it. It's not just for the center hung, it's for every single LED ribbon and what we call our IPTV system. So like all the TVs throughout the arena, all of those need to be changed. So and that's something actually I touched base on in the presentation I did, is where I use pre-comps so that I can just change the logo once and then it changes it throughout all my boards, and then just change a few things that it's just custom for whatever the look is. And then that's like one of the projects I do my best to work ahead on. Like, for example, I knew I'd be out a few extra days for Art Basel, so I built out like 3 ahead. But that one also, like the main board version, that one's a 5 to 6 hour render because it's cinema. But then my ribbons are like 4 to 7 minutes a piece. So for those, I tend to leave those rendering overnight, and then I come back the next day, finish it up, and then I'll transfer it to our guys. So we have a game tomorrow, and I'm already good with those.
Are your ribbons, do they loop? Is it just a certain chunk and then it loops around, or do you have to do the whole ribbon? It's
the whole ribbon except for one. We call it our upper ribbon, where it's also meshed in with the scoreboard. So it also depends on the moment in the show, right? Because it's a live show that runs for 2.5 hours. So usually there's a point in our pregame show where we go full black. And so we have like a really nice ambiance. So then that one, if we're building for a piece in that section of the show, then it's a full seamless loop. But on average, we do build out one where we have to leave that chunk open. But it's all templatized in a project that we've been using for years and just updating as we needed it.
Is the playback thing for the boards as antiquated as some of the ones I've seen? It's really funny. Like, if you go look at a lot of these computers running these ribbon panels, it's like video toaster almost.
Yeah, that's definitely very accurate.
You have to render in like some obscure codec from 1985 or something, you know.
Yeah, not really, recently they've been updating our stuff slowly because that is a thing. Like our center hung alone, I think, is over 10 years old, and we hate it because it's a weird shape, but it's what we have. But our guys have been doing a great job of upgrading our control room over the past year and are continuing to do that. But now our DAC system was recently updated, I think a year or 2 ago, and now we can export MP4s for our dude up there.
Fancy.
It's exciting.
Living in the future.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be
how many
Microsoft AVI. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was for a while.
So how many screens around the studio are you guys actually rendering out and projecting to?
I would say the normal amount is like 12.
Okay, 12
But
different
we
templates you're rendering.
Yeah, we do have a project that reaches, I think, 16. And then for playoffs, when we add in the ice projection, because we are friends with dangers.ca, they're an ice projection company, and they usually bring down their stuff, and then that adds like 5 or 4 more screens.
Yeah, I wanted to dive in and talk about that because
Yeah.
projection mapping is kind of a fun thing. How involved are you in that process?
Very, very involved, actually.
Yeah? Talk about it.
Because, like, for us, like, we always go above and beyond. So we add an extra 15 minutes of stuff that we normally do just for playoffs. So we do have a good reputation for having one of the best of the shows.
No pressure.
So, yeah, it's okay. So we're also always trying to like push that level, and then ice projection is definitely a part of that. Like we're not blessed like some teams that have it year round, but it kind of makes it nice and more special that we don't. We only use it when, you know, knock on wood, we're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then even then we're super dramatic where we start with just the ice. But if we make it to the next round, we'll add the scrims on either side of the center hung. And then if we make it to the third round, we add the corner scrims. So then you're like, what is that, like 4 or 5? But some you can reuse the same template, just depending on the design of your project. And then if we make it to the final, we add lasers, we add like a chandelier, it's like a whole thing. So that one is like 15 minutes. We kind of have a formula where we know, oh, in here, this section is a 30-second countdown. We're going to need it for the ice and the center hung and the ribbons. But then this section, this is a video pump. So we're just going to need the ribbons made, or we're just going to use dark clouds so you don't have to worry about this minute. Or like for me, we started working with Vo Williams, a rapper based out of LA, originally from Florida, who's amazing and worked with us for the past 2 playoffs. And this past playoff, he made a song for us, which is great. And we then took that, made a video, and then a whole ice portion. And that was pretty stressful because, you know, you're trying to animate for all the boards. You know, we have him come in live and you have the ice, but you don't want to take away from him because obviously the center hung and his performance is the most important part. So you have to approach it as like, what's an accent? Like this is a concert, and design it in that way.
Is this a custom song, like a fully custom song, or is it one
Yeah.
of those where they changed a couple words and put in the name of your team?
No, this most recent one is called Thunder and Lightning. He designed for us, and like it was amazing. The fans loved it. It's on YouTube. You can check it out if you want.
I heard the guy, you know the song, the Nope song, you know, of course they play it in the Nope movie, but that song that's like Nope, yep, no,
I don't
nope.
think I've heard that one. No.
It's just funny because I sidetracked you. I heard
You're
a
good.
version of that song that was like for a sports team, and it was like they changed one
Oh.
word, and it's just so funny because it sounds so templated.
Very obvious what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
No, that's what's so great about what he made too, because that was a concern where it could be like, oh, that'd be a little cheesy, you know, like lightning, woo. But like, no, the song itself came out really great, so that it made it easy to animate too. But the year before that, we used a song that was already made that he was gracious to let us use. So yeah, I would say like when it comes to playoffs, it's mostly graphic heavy with video added in. But then it's not just us too. Like we're a whole squad. So we've got our people on the ice, we've got our lighting guys, you know, who puts out the haze, the smoke, and then everyone directing the cameras. They're on headset. Like it's a whole thing. A huge team effort.
Putting all this creative together, I imagine like in order for like the ribbons to match the overhead, the ice projection, like that's a lot of details to keep track of and keep them in sync together. So when you're designing, how do you keep that in mind? Like, okay, this is going to happen here, this is going to happen here. How do you design that as a creative whole as opposed to one render output?
Yeah, do you have a playback system so you can kind of watch all these pieces together or something, or
Yes
without
and no,
without
both.
having to like, you know, play it in the arena, you know?
Well, what we do is we bring in all our pre-comps into one large comp and kind of make a rough like map of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's how we try and test it out so it's all in sync. And then what I like to do is I take the audio track and I put the markers on it in After Effects, and then I label the markers, and then I even color code them just to help my sanity. You know, like, this is the logo loop, here's going to be the text, here's the verse. So then I copy that same audio track and put it in all my pre-comps.
Oh, okay.
And make sure it's all in sync. And then when I'm done or get to a good spot, I'll put it in quarter view. It's important, right? And then play it back like 15 seconds by 15 seconds, because it takes so long to pre-render, especially if it's like a full minute. And that's kind of how we check it. And then we get to a point where we'll render out roughs, and then we always test everything live when there's nobody in the building.
Right.
So it's a combination of both.
And back to the XREFs thing, because I was noticing that James, he has like the skull XREFs.
Dead.
Everybody hates XREFs, but everybody loves XREFs when they are very valuable to them. Like,
Yeah.
I can tell you, like, doing XREFs and combining it with Dropbox is a beautiful thing, because you were saying you do logos that way. You know, I can imagine. I mean, this applies to any project. If you've got like some sort of like placeholder XREF and it's referencing a file in Dropbox, you could have a coworker or somebody working on that logo or whatever the thing is, and it's just going to appear in Cinema. So it's it's been around forever, but people don't talk about it much. I don't know why it isn't more of a thing, but I mean, super valuable.
I didn't know about it till you guys told me about it.
See? And that was like a year ago, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it for all of my matchup related projects. I use XREFs.
Yeah, James says
when they work, they work.
Yeah.
When they don't, the corrupt a scene, they destroy.
Well, actually, I dealt with that. I accidentally corrupted a scene just a few weeks ago where I copied a texture, but I think I copied it from the main Cinema project. So I copied the XREF that came in, that was imported, and it crashed my project. I couldn't even open it, and I went through a whole phase where I just realized it was that texture inside the project. But then because whatever I did, it like corrupted the original XREF, so I couldn't use it anymore. Dang. So then I had to make a fresh XREF. So it was just like a lot of copying, pasting, and just keeping mental track. So now it's working.
I've never heard of that issue.
And confirm, yes. Be careful.
Well, my solution for that then is make sure that you're saving your XREFs and your project straight to Dropbox, because if it does corrupt, you can right click, go to history, and pull it back a version, or any backup software, you know.
Yeah. Or save incremental versions of your project.
That too. For sure.
That's my go-to.
Always do that. I have had some instances though where it's like I did a whole bunch of really good stuff on a version of a file. I came back to it, I started working on something else, and that corrupted. And I'm like, 2 versions ago, I didn't have all that other stuff. And Dropbox is great. You right-click, version history, restore. You might lose 5 minutes at work, but, you know.
You're convincing me.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'll have to try
now
that out.
we need Dropbox as a sponsor.
Yes. There was another question. Oh, I wanted to ask you about the Stanley Cup. Now this is Stan Lee from Marvel, right? Is that?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Stanley. Oh, Stanley Cup. See, motion
Marvel.
designers and sports. So you got to see it. You got to touch it.
Yes.
You even have a photo, which is awesome. Am I correct in remembering that you have rings as well?
Yes, I do.
You're wearing it in the photo.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I think that's the. Yeah, that was the second one. So I only had the 1 ring at the time, but I have 2.
So how
2
does
rings.
that work? Like everybody who's on the team, I guess, gets one. Do you have to like buy one? Is it not? Is it not like as pricey as the ones that the team gets? Is it different, or is it the same?
Yeah, all of those things.
Okay.
So they did it in tiers. So obviously the players will get the most important ones. It's all diamonds. It has the thing that swivels off, and then it says more stuff underneath. And then like the executives got a tier as well, and then all the full-timers got a different tier. So we don't have the swivel, obviously we don't have the diamonds, but everything else about it is real. It's white gold, sapphires with cubic zirconias. And then below that, they did an option for part-timers where those you had to pay a small amount for.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones they gave out to fans. So it was in different tiers.
I love that, though. I
Yeah.
love that, you know, you're included even if you're not actually playing the sport.
Yeah,
It's,
that was
you know,
yeah, it was different. It was fun and very appreciative because from what I understand, not all the teams do that. So we are lucky to have a really amazing owner in
Yeah.
Jeff Finnick who help that happen. Him and his family actually designed the rings. And the second ring we got was the design that wasn't chosen the first time we won, which was pretty cool.
that's interesting. It's just
and then
cool
just-
that they
yeah.
include you in that. They just recognize that
Yeah.
you're part of the team and that you are also working hard, even if you're, you know, not making puck go far. You know?
Yeah, well, the way it's kind of described is like the players take care of what happens on the ice, and then we take care of the fans and like the experience. Because like the more excited the fans are, the louder they are, and that like helps hype the players up too. So it's like this nice cycle. So
Yeah.
that kind of where it comes from. Like it's like one big team working together.
I love it. When you started looking for a job, was it always you wanted to be in the NHL, or was it, you know, you'd go anywhere?
Not at all. It's just anywhere really. But I just kind of lucked out at the time. They were doing internships, so we already had a relationship with the Art Institute, and then it just ended up working out that they kept me on. Like they were willing to keep me on because everything went well, and I've just kind of been there ever since. But I never really planned to work in sports, even though I did play it in high school. I played basketball and soccer and volleyball.
Were you a hockey fan growing up at all?
No, not at all.
No?
But I am
That's
now,
funny.
actually. I can
Right.
legit say hockey's a fun sport to watch.
We have a local
Yeah.
team up here that I love watching. I don't know how many leagues of hockey there are, but I'm pretty sure in order to qualify, we'd have to be like after the letter Z because, you know, local teams in South Dakota. But no, that's super cool. That's super
It's
cool.
funny. Yeah, I did a country tour, and I was not a country fan, and then I was a fan of that music at the end of it. I'll say that, you know.
Yeah.
It's when you kind of get thrust into a genre you're not used to, or that you don't know
Exposure.
anything about, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a
Absolutely,
lot about
absolutely.
George Strait's mythical life that he sings about through his song. I don't know how much of it's true or not, but
Nice.
catch myself humming country. I never thought I'd do that.
That
Do you-
90s stuff, man, it's addicting.
Yeah, so do you watch hockey now? Like will you put it on? Like if you're at home and you're like, oh, hockey's on, will you put it on?
Yeah, but I am biased. I'll only watch a Lightning game.
Oh, okay, I see.
Um,
Diehard fan.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I've just, gotta have love for the team, the home team.
it's research.
Other than that, like I don't have other favorites other than if I know somebody who works for them, then I'll be like, all right, yay, go Sharks, go Vegas. Only if they're not playing us.
Right.
But yeah, there's times where I'll put on a Lightning game if they're out of town and just have that playing as I'm like just messing with my own personal work at home or something like that.
Mark is asking about alternatives to X. See, we're getting in the XREFs convo now.
Oh, boy.
There's Redshift Proxy. There's Orbix files. I use Orbix files for really complex, like Octane stuff if I'm bringing in things from other scenes. But Orbix files are really good because they're very light. So yeah, Orbix, Redshift Proxy. Yeah, there's alternatives out there.
We have options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I did last week was I needed to Boolean some buildings that came from CAD. There's no way I was going to rebuild them, and they're a mess because they come from CAD, so they're going to be 24 million polys a piece or whatever. Brought in Orbix files so that they were light as far as referencing, and then I used what's those I forget the name of them. They're like they're Boolean shaders in Octane. So you can just create like a cube and just move it through it, and 20 million polys just Boolean, no problem, like butter. Anyway, let's see. I've got a couple other questions for you here too. Some of them we already hit. I was going to ask you a little bit more about tools. Obviously, Cinema 4D. You're rendering in Redshift, right?
Yeah, I do Redshift at the Lightning, and then whenever I do my personal work at home, I use Octane.
Oh, okay, cool.
Why the shift?
Well, I actually learned first like the third-party renderers through Octane just because it was easier and more cost-effective for like my personal work.
Right.
But while messing around with that, like I started, learning the value of, utilizing your GPU, that I actually pitched it to my boss at work, like, hey, I think it's time, like, we update this 7-year-old graphics card and update our software. So I actually use Octane to help, like, kind of show the differences. Like, oh, if we use physical renderer with this old graphics card, it's going to take, like, 60 hours if we want Lightning Clouds versus Octane. It's like a fraction.
Right.
And then eventually it got green-lighted, survived COVID cuts, which I'm so grateful. And we upgraded to 3090s. And then we ended up getting Redshift because we already had a license for Red Giant, because we use the Red Giant suite as well. So it was just easier to tack on Redshift to that. Yeah. And that's how I ended up working in both.
That makes sense. And I mean, that is the strategy for Maxon, right? Like the one-stop shop. You just get the Maxon 1 and you're good to go.
Easy ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you guys rendering out just on your local machines then? Or do you have a render farm you send everything
That's
to?
what I was going to ask. Yeah.
No, we're not blessed with a render farm. So it's definitely off of our own PCs. And just depending on if it takes really long, then I'll just split a render. We have 4 stations specifically for motion design, but unfortunately not a render farm yet.
Got it.
Yeah.
In the future.
Someday.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah. Are there any other tools that you use though? I mean, I feel like all of us, for the most part, we're like Cinema 4D, After Effects, Redshift, Octane, Red Giant. Like, are there any like weird off the beaten path tools that you find yourself using?
Oh yeah, we use the free version of Animation Composer a lot. It just has a lot of like simple animation presets that you can do for free. Like we like to use those, like say we're promoting a concert coming, which is like just quick and easy. It only runs for like 15 seconds, so we don't really need to like put too much thought into it. So then we'll just pop simple animation presets on them and then render them out, because then that's 5. Actually, it's a big project. It's 5
Is that Mr. Horse or no? Is that
Mr. Horse.
Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of helps us a lot because, like, for example, when we promote a concert coming, we promote it at Amelie, but we also promote it at USF, which we also oversee some of their operations. So then we build for their boards too. So that ends up being like almost 30 boards. So that's when we tap into stuff like Animation Composer, where it's just like, all right, we'll just put this on here real quick, customize it, and we're like done in just a few hours.
Out the door.
So that's like a random one-off, especially if you get a last-minute project that comes in. Same thing, like, oh, we have to build for the full in-house, and that's 16 boards. Just use Animation Composer. So
of all my plugins, Mr. Horse's Anchor Point Mover is one of my favorites. I cannot open After Effects without it.
Yeah, I use that one all the time now too. That was one of my buddies showed me that too, and I'm like, what?
Right?
Is that like reposition anchor point? There's one that I have. Okay, yeah. Yeah,
like I like cut out a piece of a logo that I need, and then I just hit that, and then it'll like center it based off where my mask is.
Yes, that is so valuable.
Super clutch. Yeah.
I've tried a couple of other ones, and I don't know. I got love for Mr. Horse.
I didn't know Mr. Horse had that. I have reposition anchor point, and I got it on AE scripts, and I'm sure Mr. Horse has the same thing where you could say center or put it on the bottom or top or left or right, but that just saves, because the old way of doing it. Okay, crop it, get anchor point, move anchor point over, no reposition.
Ain't nobody got time for that. We've got deadlines to hit.
I got bronchitis.
But yeah, another random, I don't use it often, but I have tapped into Substance Painter, just depending. Like earlier this year, we did stuff for Gasparilla, which is a local, think Mardi Gras, but with pirates that take over the city. It's actually pretty cool. It's called Gasparilla.
I want to know more.
It happens every year. in Tampa, and people dress up as pirates and get drunk the
Do they
entire
wear
day.
beads? Do they have pirate
Yes,
beads?
beads. There's a whole parade. It's a whole shebang.
Beads
and
for booty.
Beads for
Yes.
booty. I was gonna make the joke.
Ah, there you go.
yeah, we were faced with a challenge and we were faced with the same challenge actually in January, is that we have a hockey game on the very same day. So it's like, oh, how do we convince these people that have been drinking all day to come to a hockey game? And they started drinking at 11 a.m. But it was super successful, and our marketing department came up with just a Illustrator vector of a Jolly Roger, which was pretty cool, with the skull with the Lightning logo and 2 sabers. So then, we really wanted to go over the top because it was our first Gasparilla themed event, period. And they were like, we want this to be badass. I'm like, all right, I got you. So I was like, all right, well, let's make a real one. Let's make a 3D version. So then that's when I had to tap into Substance to kind of just match the color palette and then make it look like the Lightning logo was a part of the skull versus using ZBrush, which I did tap into that too, actually. So I was able to the skull had gold on the edge of the bone, plus the cracked logo on its forehead, and then the sabers had the lightning embezzled on it. The hilt was like a lightning bolt kind of. So for that specific look, I actually tapped into ZBrush a little bit and Substance, and I even went as far as making a doubloon, a pirate doubloon. And I took there was 2 logos designed. One was a steering wheel from the ship, and then the Jolly Roger, and made it either side of the doubloon. So that was a combo of ZBrush and Substance Painter, and then finally exported out of Cinema 4D with Redshift, then to be composited for a logo animation or whatever in After Effects.
Do you use a pen for that? Do you use a tablet for the Substance and ZBrush stuff, or?
Well, I actually have it's my own. I have a Wacom Cintiq at home, so I kind of just started those projects at home and then just transferred them to myself to finish out the post at the arena.
There was another themed event you did, which was the Jurassic Park logo. I want to know more about that.
Yeah, well, that one, Luis Miranda did me a solid. He shared an animation rig of the dinosaur. So it was just the skeletal rig, and then I found just a free model of the actual skeleton. So I had to put my rigging hat back on and repaint weights, which is, my favorite thing. But it ended up being pretty easy because I originally learned it in Maya in college. So it was my first time doing it in cinema. So thankfully it wasn't that hard. And then I was able to tap into that to make that logo because it was our 90s night. So obviously Jurassic Park, also one of my favorite movies. I was like, it'd be kind of cool if we kind of redid the Jurassic logo as the Lightning logo. And it just kind of all went together. And then that was probably my second or third project using Redshift, because I was also learning Redshift at the same time. So I really liked how that came out.
I found your
They
doubloon.
found your doubloons.
Yeah, I love my doubloon.
That's awesome.
The doubloons.
That's super fun.
Thank you.
There's I got a Cintiq to learn ZBrush or whatever, but I gotta say, using the Cintiq for Substance Painter is fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. It feels so good drawing on the models that you're working on in Substance, and just really getting, it's different than modeling in ZBrush. It feels more like a painting experience, right?
Yeah.
Like you're painting figurines or something. And I don't get the opportunity to really do it as much as I'd like, and it sounds like a lot of fun to be able to have a job where you can really dig into something like that, because it's that tactile thing. There's something about that. And
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
I've used Substance for exactly one project, which was my little mushrooms guys that I made, I don't know, a month ago. And it was like you said, it's addicting. It's fun. It's really enjoyable to get in there and play with the details and stuff.
Yeah, still learning it, but yeah, it's fun to use when you're in there. And I agree, it's nice it has a natural feel to it, which I feel could also just open up more doors of creativity as you're going through it, and exploring with different techniques and stuff with all the masks you can play with. I love Substance, so any chance I could utilize it for something, I usually do.
Yeah. I need to find a good reason to use it. And it's, you know, like, don't you ever have that, like, there's a new program or a new plugin or something that comes out and you're just like, I want an excuse to use this, you know? I guess that's what dailies are for, but
My other frustration is like, I need an excuse to pay for it, like to justify the extra cost.
That too.
Like, I don't want to buy it, let it sit in my desktop for 6 months.
Yeah, guilty. I got X Particles last year through Black Friday and haven't had a chance yet to fully like mess with it and make stuff. Like I keep trying, but it's like so difficult when you're trying to learn something and you have the visual in your head, but you don't know how to make that visual. That's kind of where I'm at with X Particles right now. So that's another random software that I'm trying to use.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, unless something is familiar enough, like it's really hard to jump into something in a client project or in a work project like that unless you open it and it's like really intuitive, you know. Like you know, like the Max on Fire pyro stuff or whatever, right? Like I opened it up, I was like, this is either gonna be really easy or really hard right now, you know. It's like, do you use this in production? I think that happens a lot of times with people who are like, oh, well, we got this client and they want this thing and I'm doing it in X Particles, but you know, it would be really so much better if I did it in Houdini. And it's like, do you really want to learn Houdini right now? Like,
for one project.
So personal projects, I guess, are really fantastic for doing stuff like that. Just to, you know, you're not in so much of a time crunch. You know, you could always just abandon it if you don't like it, right?
No one will ever see how bad this actually is.
Right.
Did you find it easy to use, the pyro?
Oh, so easy. Yeah. But I do have to say I came from doing TFD, so I already knew how to do that. Like it really depends. There's kind of a weird learning curve in learning curves. Like for example, if you've never used Cinema before or any 3D piece of software, right? And you're going from After Effects, there's going to be more of a learning curve than I guess if you're going from like Cinema to Blender or something, right? It's like, well, I already understand XYZ and things.
By the way, Blender's free.
What? So yeah, I mean, like I feel like I just picked it up because I already kind of knew Pyro. But I feel like I picked up TFD in the first place because I knew a little bit of X Particles, and X Particles has a lot of those same, you know. I mean, you got wind and turbulence and all the things, you know. So it kind of depends on, you know. Some people are really good at that. Brandon Clemens, for example, like is so good at just picking up any freaking piece of software and just like learning it. I don't know how he does that, but there's an art to being good at learning how to use things like that.
Very technical mind.
Yeah, for sure.
That is something I do not have.
Oh, sure you do. Sure you do. See, I have the opposite problem. I'm so technical that I'm not a good artist. That like I feel like I talk about this all the time, but if somebody comes to me and wants to learn how to, or not learn how to, if somebody wants to do something and they say, this is what I want to do, I can sit and do that. But you ask me to come up with stuff on my own, it's really hard. I don't know if you all
that's
have
why we
problem.
have Midjourney now.
Right. It's helped me big time. But,
right.
You know, it's people who can do one or the other or like do both of them are very, very fortunate. You know, that whole blank canvas syndrome, all of that. Speaking of which, do you do that? Do you sometimes get like some sort of prompt,
writer's
I guess,
block
or something and hit the writer's block on that? Like, put a cube in Cinema. There's a cube. I don't know what to do next. How do you?
What, just like,
you know,
in general, or just like for Lightning specific?
Well,
or
either.
Like personal stuff?
I mean, yeah, I guess more specific to Lightning, but like, you know, hey, we got this new thing coming up this week. We got to have a graphic for this. And how do you brainstorm on that and come up with something? Are you working with the team? How is that process?
I do work with a team. It just depends on, at the time, whatever comes down. Like, if we're all at max, we do try and sit down and brainstorm stuff. Other than that, we kind of just have our go-tos, obviously, because we're the Lightning. Usually we have to incorporate electricity somehow, or clouds, or something blue, white. So what I've done in the past is like I'll just search just to see what's out there for any type of inspiration. And then a lot of the times, especially over the past year, like I'll do sketches on my iPad because I love Procreate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of have like style frames set out that way, and I'll show it to my boss. I'm like, does this vibe with you? Is this okay? Because this is going to take this amount of time if you don't like it. And then kind of just mess around.
It's nice that you have the drawing background too, because if I were to do that, it would be stick figures. I'm sure yours are probably a little bit better. At least if it involves horses, right?
Yeah. No, I got you with the horses.
Yeah.
But no, I sometimes do stick figures because we don't always have the luxury of time. So it's like,
Right.
oh, does it have to look perfect? No. We just have to be able to like get that idea and the concept out. And then sometimes we'll just write it out on the whiteboard, and we'll just get opinions from the video guys or whatever, and like, hey, does this seem cool? Is there anything else you think we can add? So on average, it is a team effort, but there are times where I have to take the reins myself if we're all busy, and then just figure it out because no one else is going to. It's like all on me type of situation. But then like at home, I honestly can get inspired by anything. Like if it's a song I like and there's like this sound, and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool if like a skull was doing this during this. Or I like to use my own house decorations. Like I have this like thing I bought for Halloween, and I'm like been looking at it, and I'm like, you know what, this would be a cool 3D render of like a sand thing with a snake on it. So
yeah,
that's like a future idea right there. It's just like, you know, you can pull inspiration from anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, you have some horror-themed renders that I've noticed browsing around. We should talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
sure.
keep going. I have to use the restroom. I can't wait. So just keep going.
All right, no pressure on me then. I was just kind of hoping he would be able to pull up graphics and that kind of stuff. So, why horror? What got you into the horror realm? Has it always been there for you, or talk to me about it?
Well, yeah, honestly, it's always been there for me. I don't know. I just kind of liked it because it was just kind of, at the time growing up, not as popular. And I was kind of like a loner because I'm an only kid. So I'd spend a lot of time by myself. So I just kind of like naturally gravitated to the genre, just the weird stuff.
Yeah.
And like I remember watching Arachnophobia as a kid. And this has now come to bite me in the ass. I'll preface with that. Because I knew my grandma hated spiders, but I'd always wait till a scene would come up with a close-up of a spider, and then I'd call her into my room, and then she'd be like, Darlene, like in Spanish, and then just walk away, and I think it's so funny. So I was just a little asshole, but now I can't stand the sight of spiders, so karma got me good on that one, which is fine.
That's kind of funny,
I shouldn't
actually.
have done that to grandma at all. But I don't know. I just always loved it. Like one of my favorite Christmas movies is Gremlins. I love the Gremlins. I think they're cute, and I love Gizmo. And
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There was a render you did recently, which was I think the Morticia Was Here piece.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Dave can come back and pull that graphic up since I have no control over any of that stuff now. But did you kind of describe it and walk me through like how you went from nothing to an Addams Family themed render?
Yeah, well, one, I just love Addams Family. Definitely vibing with the new series Wednesday that came out. Shout out to
James.
Yeah, shout out to James for that epic title intro. So yeah, like I try when it comes to my personal work, just pull from what I just generally like. So obviously I love Addams Family, and I'm not good with human models yet, which is one of my goals for next year. So I'm always trying to like test something new, like that I can't get done at the Lightning because it's just so fast paced. So like how I get the balance, because I also just love making stuff as a hobby. So I was like, all right, I kind of want to do like a gloomy scene with some volumetric light because I'm really vibing with volumetric light lately. So I was like, okay, let me do flowers because I love flowers. And then obviously the iconic scene of her clipping the roses off was, you know, the thing that came up. So then I found like a greenhouse model that was free that I could customize. And then I just collected plants that looked like they would work, and then just kind of like started piecing it together. Then I was like, all right, well, she's snipping these flowers off. I should have scissors. So then I found a cool model of scissors off Sketchfab, converted it into Octane, and then just kind of like went from there. And then I always want to do like something dramatic and cinematic. So I made sure like the shots and the angles were nice, mess around with depth of field and play with it. But, you're always your own worst critic. So even when I had the table set up, I was like, all right, now I need some climbing vines in here. I need this vibe. Or I even put, and I don't know if you can really see it, but there's like gravestones in the back behind the glass. Kind of like, if this was at their house, there'd be like a graveyard behind it.
Is this on your Instagram? Which one are you talking about specifically?
The Morticia was here.
It's like a vase, a vase.
Yeah, it's a vase.
Is it on?
Down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
It's on there.
Okay.
It was kind of an older one.
Gotcha.
What I like about it is the thought process you put into hearing about that. Like, okay, there has to be scissors because of this reason.
Here we go.
Do all of your daily renders or your fun projects go through the similar thought process, or is it like we just slap it in together and hope it works?
Yeah, I want to be able to slap it in together, but I always find something new. I'm like, oh, it'd look great if I added this to it, or I want this detail. So that's how I get caught up sometimes, where I take too long. So I'm like, all right, I don't have time to make this detail right now, but I need it. So I'm not going to work on it right now. I have to wait till I have more time.
Right.
And
this is a cool scrolling one too. Dave pulled up the troll or the.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's my first time using Mega Scans, Quixel Mega Scans. Mm-hmm. So I really like how the textures came out on that one. I was also practicing with Substance Painter too to get more familiar with the software, because I bought that hand model. It was like $8 October Squid, but I didn't like the texture. So I was like, all right, well, this is a chance to learn something in Substance. So then I went in there, made it all green. He's walking in mud, so I need to paint his tips of his fingers to make it look more realistic.
Nice.
And it just keeps building up every time when I do a personal step render. So that's why I don't post as many post renders, because I'm always like not done. I'm like a super huge detail perfectionist when it comes to that. And I think that's just resulting from working always in a fast-paced environment in Lightning. I don't always have the opportunity to do that. Right. So what translates to my personal work is where I take twice as long. Where I agree with Dave, it's good to have your own deadline to keep yourself honest, because other than that, you'll just keep tweaking it until no end.
Forever.
I respect that.
Good Lord.
My brain's the other way. I'm like, get it out the door. It's done, and then 6 months later I'm like, oh no, that never should have seen the light of day. I gotta go back and fix that someday, but I won't.
Yeah. Well, it's good to try and find a balance between the two, so you don't take too long.
Right.
Like I have one I was playing with Octane Scatter last year, and I actually love it, but I haven't figured out how I want it moving yet, and then I want to add more details. So it's a year-old project that's just collecting dust right now that I want to finish in the next few months.
So you need a deadline.
Yeah, I need a deadline.
Yeah. 11 days.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 11 days. What's today? All right, by Christmas.
Oh.
Let's say by Christmas.
Maybe.
Looking forward to it. We have a little thing on the show we call Mograph Recommends, where we get your recommendations of things that you like, things you've been enjoying. And so we have kind of a little list here. I'm trying to move my mouse to my laptop. What am I doing? Got to use the mouse pad for this. We're gonna ask you these things, and you can give us an answer that is either like an all-time favorite, or this could be a recent favorite.
Okay.
Like for example, we had Mitch on the show the first time we did this. Mitch Myers, his example for life hack, which I'm telling you this ahead of time so you can think about this. This is the last question. His example is turn the toaster on its side for some bomb-ass grilled cheese. Now, life hack, keep that in mind. That's the last one. Think about that in the back of your head. We're going to ask you the other questions first, so you have time to also think about that.
It's not a real thing. I feel like
double
it's fire waiting to happen.
We'll see what I can remember. Okay.
So we'll start with an easy one, and we'll say favorite movie.
Oh God. I have several, but the one that I go to the most is The Fifth Element.
Ooh,
I just genuinely love The Fifth Element. Yes.
Love it.
Lilo Dallas Multipass.
Yes.
Yeah. It
also
is so
personal
good.
works in the process.
When is part 2 of that movie coming?
Oh, I I wish.
And who's going to do it? Because it has to be done right. It has to be done right, right? Can you imagine like they redo it and it sucks? Like it would have to be so good.
I'd almost just want to let it live like as is.
I know.
As much as it.
Yeah.
It's just
I
it's
know.
I know, it's
perfection.
so hard, right? You want to kind of see what it would look like with today's technology. It'd probably be
Yeah.
pretty fire.
But I don't want to be let down.
Yeah, 10,000%. But it's possible. Hey, Dune came out phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And the
well,
first Dune movie wasn't that great.
isn't
It's
Bruce
fair.
Willis like having some issues right now, like speech issues or something?
Oh, I haven't heard that.
It's that
That's
thing
sad.
where you can think it but you can't say it. Like you have problems. There's a name for it. Like he's having trouble speaking.
Oh,
It sucks.
I hadn't heard that.
yeah. I didn't hear that either.
But yeah, I would love to see another version of that. Such a good movie. Everything about it, like
Yeah, no.
and the humor in it too, right?
Yeah.
It's just good storytelling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I am a meat
Love that.
popsicle. Love it. And then the other question is related. TV show, favorite TV show or series, or, and again, I mean, you mentioned Addams Family. Are you watching the new?
Yeah.
What is it called? Is it called Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay.
No, I
Yeah.
that took me 2 days. I'm already through it.
Oh,
I'm
that's
waiting for the
funny.
next season.
That's funny. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a big one because I watch so much when I can. Like I've just finished 1899, which was pretty cool. I don't want to say too much because I feel like it'd be easy to give away a spoiler,
Ooh.
Okay.
but I
love
highly
that.
recommend because it's definitely one of those where you have to think, and the CG and stuff, like it looks beautiful. Let me think of an older one. Like I loved the Evil Dead movies, and I also
Mhm.
enjoyed the TV series that came with that, Ash versus Evil Dead, which is cool if you like the horror genre. And then I also love sci-fi, so like throughout the years I've watched Battlestar Galactica, which was great. I enjoyed The Expanse. That one was great. Let me think what else was good. Oh, Altered Carbon was fun too. I liked that
Yeah.
one.
I started.
Wanted to see that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't finish.
It's set my two watch list for like 6 months. I just never started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
fun
never gonna hit
watch.
the watch list ever. Like it's not gonna happen.
I just canceled my Netflix though, so
Oh,
my opportunities in the past.
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I was just
Yeah.
tired of not having fresh content anymore. It's all just
Yeah.
it's kind of meh.
It's
Do you have
just
HBO
murder.
Max?
Yeah. What's that?
Do you have HBO Max? They've got some good stuff
Nope.
on there.
I have Disney Plus, Prime, and then we just buy everything on like Google Movies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was about to say Tokyo Vice on HBO Max is pretty good cinematography wise. That was a good one too. And the title entry to that is sick. And then obviously Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. You can't
Nice.
forget that.
Oh, and I saw. It's funny because I know Sarah Gibson worked on something for the Buzz Lightyear movie, and then just so happened yesterday, what was I finishing watching? I think it was the Santa Claus thing. No, it was there's the Christmas. Oh God. I don't watch Marvel movies and things like what's the one with the raccoon? Everybody's screaming at
Oh,
me
the
right
Christmas
now, I'm
special
sure.
with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy Christmas special, and I just happened to be watching the ending credits, and it was like visual effects, blah blah blah, and I just happened to be sitting there, and I just saw Sarah Gibson's name like flash.
What?
I was
She
like,
got a title
"Oh!"
credit?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Nice.
just happened to be watching. It's
Yeah.
funny, like that's happened to me like 3 or 4 times where I just a name just like shoots out in front of my face when I just happen to be sitting there. But yeah, it's fun to watch these things on Netflix because I swear we all have friends or acquaintances or friends of friends working on all of these projects, you know. So always watch those credits and just look through. You're gonna see someone you know. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. We're in a cool industry. We really are.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. What about music?
Oh, yeah. My music taste is a little eclectic. I love lots of metal, rock,
Okay.
industrial music. I've been really vibing with this group called Health. Just like, oh, you're healthy. Their name is Health.
Okay.
And I just love even their social media. It's always just like a meme and like sarcastic, or just like, this was great, period. And then this how they describe something. So I actually got to see them. It's kind of like a cyberpunk vibe, electronic vibe. And it was amazing. And I just like kind of followed what their vibe is. I was like, this show was great. And they actually sent me a DM that just said, thank you, period. Which
That's
was
a fun
like
sense of humor. I like
so
that.
awesome. I love them. But then I also like love like older stuff like Korn. I love Nonpoint. I love Lacuna Coil, which they're considered goth metal from Italy. They're awesome. I love their lead singer because she's a total nerd. She's always talking about video games or comic books on her social media too. I usually bounce between those, but I have like my one-offs. Like I like Rosalia. She's a Spanish artist from Spain. I do love me some Doja Cat songs. And like The Neighborhood. I enjoy The Neighborhood. So yeah, it's a little out there.
Wide genre. Wide net there.
Yeah. I hate to say I'm not much of a country fan. I'm sorry.
Sorry, dude.
That's fine. Totally fine. I get it. It's funny. We must have said Sarah's name 3 times because she showed up in the chat. Sarah, you got to come be on the show again. Tell us what you've been up to. I keep seeing all your fun things. And as much as you can say, as much as you're allowed to say.
Yeah.
But let's see. The next one on the list. Do you listen to podcasts?
No, even though I should. I know I should. I haven't. If anything, I've like listened to like the stress relief music, which are labeled as podcasts, and that's
like,
about it.
Like lo-fi?
Yeah, I would say it's like lo-fi or just like yoga music, just to chill out, trying to go to sleep type of thing.
Yeah. So no audiobooks or anything like that?
No, not right now. Sorry.
What about plugins? What is your favorite plugin that is not a render engine?
Oh, that's hard.
It's a hard one. Is it
my
Mr. Horse?
Yeah, that's an easy one. Yeah.
All right. Easy.
I got you.
What is your muscle memory go-to app? You pick up your phone and your hand just presses it.
Oh God, Spotify actually.
Oh,
I am always listening to music. Always, no matter where I go, that's the first thing I hit is Spotify.
Nice. Okay, so do you do like Clinton Jones with the aftershocks, where you just have like music playing all the time? He does that. He wears the bone induction.
Oh, the bone conduction.
So you can still hear everything going on in work, but he has like theme music playing all the time. It's interesting.
No, I have put an earbud in at work, just one, so I can have music in one ear and then like still hear if somebody needs me.
So do you have to have like people able to contact you at any given time while you're working? You can't like tune out, like, are you in a shared space? Like,
I'm in a shared space, so definitely if something just comes up or like somebody just got an email about something and they know I'm around the corner, they'll just come up and start talking, or or somebody's talking about a project and it's gonna involve motion. I usually like chirp up and like, oh, you're gonna need this, like by when? When's your deadline? Like, and then obviously I'm helping my team because they're all relatively new designers because I oversee a team of 3. They're starting to get more intricate with Cinema 4D and After Effects and just learning how we do stuff at sports. So I want to always make sure I'm available to help them too whenever they need it. So I usually always have one ear open.
It's like sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah. 10,000%.
Trained my previous jobs, trained people that I put my headphones on and I could never hear anyone, but I'd never play music. I just have it quiet, pretend I couldn't hear anything. Worked out great.
Nice.
No one ever talked to me.
Yeah.
Music's
People
a
just
vibe.
leave you alone.
Sure.
It is a good way to have people leave you alone, because like it's easy for someone to just turn around and be like, hey, you know, but if they know you have the headphones on.
Yeah, I have to have
he's
big
focused.
headphones though.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you just have the earbuds, they'll just start talking to you and they have no idea.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, you got to get the big.
These are for
big ones.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And put the
Comedy
bud in the
large.
inside, like put the actual Apple pod in there, you know.
Yeah.
Like Princess Leia size headphones now.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, James I guess James paged Sarah, and now Gustav's in here, and he worked on the Santa Claus stuff. You got the Who's Who All Stars here in chat. What's up with that?
Sarah said that her
Nice.
cousin was trying to get more information and she couldn't over Thanksgiving, so we're gonna get nothing. What if I send you donuts? If I send you
that's
donuts, can I like get anything?
Bribery.
All right, the
All
next one on the list. Do you play video games?
Yes.
And what do you play?
Well, I haven't played in a minute, I'll confess, because I recently moved this year and my internet is shit. But I like playing Call of Duty,
Nice.
and I played 2 versions ago. I'm a little behind. Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Mhm.
I really like Team Hardcore a lot. I used to play Black Ops 2. I did start my first-person shooter life using Halo, actually.
Nice.
I played a
Nice.
shit ton of Halo 2 in the day and Halo 3.
Oh, man.
And then I went through a Fable phase. I played all the Fables. I played all the
Fable.
Bioshocks. And then the big one that took up a lot of my time, actually, is Final Fantasy 11. I played that rock solid for about 7 years.
Oh,
Like,
jeez.
built up like
Nice.
Wow.
8 different classes up
Cheap and
to
unlocked.
85 is where I reach. I don't know if that's the level cap anymore. And then I eventually transitioned into Final Fantasy 14, but I took it a little easier then because I was more focused on working and college and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I still have both characters, so I'll never delete them. I love my Samurai and Thief and Dragoon. If anyone that plays Final Fantasy, those were my classes. So I was never meant to save people as a white mage. Not my thing.
I know
and-
some of those words.
Yeah. And then I do have Cyberpunk. I just haven't been able to finish playing it.
Yeah, I got it. It
Yeah.
was all the hype, and I got it, and then it was like, meh. It kind of like,
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. I want to
But-
finish it. I just haven't had time to sit down and finish.
yeah. Bioshock.
Yeah.
I same thing happened with Bioshock. I didn't get to really play the other versions. The first version I did beat. That was freaking incredible. Especially when it came out, it was just like gorgeous. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I
you
thought
should-
about Fable.
You should
Just-
play Halo with us.
You should play Halo with
Well-
us. 6 is free.
Is there an aversion for your PC? Because as of right now, I
Yep.
don't have a console.
That's
There
how I play.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's
And it's free.
cross-platform, so you can play. It's free, and you can
Nice.
play
Yep.
your PC with your Xbox friends.
Yeah.
Well, that's
It's
a
pretty
yes
cool.
for me. I would love to play.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure that we call it our team. There's a group of people that generally will get on when it's time to play, I'd say. You know, maybe it's a group of 10 to 15 people that are just regulars, but I think we're up to like 30, 35 motion
Nice.
designers who like to play Halo. So you should
Good time.
definitely, you know,
Yeah.
If you get the chance to play Jagsy Way on acid, do it. It is fantastic.
Jags on acid. Yeah. It's where
No, I'll
it's,
look that up for
yeah.
real, though.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, install it, hit us up, let us know, and we'll invite you
Get you added.
when we play. Yeah.
Hell yeah, will do.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. This
Are we
is
to the life
this is
hack?
tough one. We're to the life hack now. And
Oh,
this
boy.
this could be a funny life hack or something that's actually useful too, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about it at all, to be honest.
What's a good like
What?
production what's a productivity tip you would give somebody? Cuz that's usually like a good like quote life hack, you know what I mean? Do you have anything you do for productivity in your day to day to get things done? Lists, you know, that kind of thing.
I don't know how useful this is, but I do tell Siri a lot to set a reminder for me,
Okay.
especially when I first hear something. I'll be like, hey, Siri, set a reminder for tomorrow at 5 p.m. that you have a podcast at 12.
And you just stopped
Or-
everybody's podcast just
Yeah.
now because their phone just picked.
Did I?
No.
Maybe.
Oh.
I mean, maybe
Who
we'll
knows?
find out, right? It's
Let us
funny.
know in the chat if your phone is now
Yeah.
angry.
No,
Yeah.
I actually do that a lot where it's just simple, even stupid reminders. Like, you need to return this item at this time, or
Oh, yeah.
call mom, set
I'm told to
reminder.
brush
For,
my teeth
Yeah.
every single day.
yeah, so
And-
I actually do that all the time.
You can set geolocations. You can say, "Remind me to do such and such when I get home," and it sees that you're
Yeah.
home. And then it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
But-
I haven't
But I
tried
don't need to
that.
Leave home.
Probably will do.
Mm.
But no, like
Okay.
legit, I do that. Like, you need to buy more bacon or chicken. And I set
Yeah.
it for like, all right, I'm gonna leave work around 6, so I'm gonna set the reminder for 5:30, so I'll see it. and I'll remember it as I'm walking by the store.
Remind me to bring home the bacon.
Yeah. No, reminders. Ask Siri or whatever Android app I think does it too, to set your reminders up for you.
You know,
You
it's
don't
funny.
forget.
That's
That's a good
kind of
tip.
how we started hanging out with David Ariev. Is we were on the show talking about the Amazon dingus, and talking about it all the time, and it would set his off, and he would email us about all the times we're setting off his Amazon. And that's how we met David Ariev. It's kind of fun.
Nice. Yeah, I got to
Um,
meet him this weekend. He's pretty cool.
I
Yeah,
have not
I'm-
met him in person
Yeah.
yet.
This week, I'm gonna go hang out with them. I want to check out their new
Studio.
addition, their new studio. It's gonna be cool.
I saw the tour the one day he was on the podcast. It was pretty
Yeah,
nice.
man.
Halloween special.
Yeah. I have one link real quick. I know I've been not doing links a lot lately. Like I've been kind of just, I don't really post a lot of show notes and things anymore. I've kind of streamlined the whole podcasting process, but I'm going to try and do links again as much as I can. Just a real quick one. Rococo came out with an app thing to do motion capture, body
Without a
capture
suit.
with AI. Now, I'm curious how this business model is going to work because they sell the suit. So obviously the suit is got to be better than the AI, but what happens if the AI does become better? Maybe this is a strategy to stay in the game, right?
Maybe your price of entry becomes much more affordable, and you can sell more Maxon licenses that way,
There you
or
go.
in that style, I should say.
And then Maxon buys Rococo.
Oh boy,
I don't
I'm taking over.
It starts with an R. I'm just saying.
Maxon.
Buy everything with an R. Change the name of my company. Start with an R. Maybe they'll buy me.
That's all it takes. That's all it
Yeah.
takes.
But yeah, I was scrolling TikTok. I saw Sam pop up, and he's like, "Hey, we got this new thing. I haven't checked it out. I have no idea how it works or anything yet, or even if it integrates with anything that like their software. I have no idea. So I can't wait to find out."
Did you jump into the suit at camp, Darlene?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
That was fun. No, that was fun. Especially when he attached it to the gorilla on the TV.
Oh, yep.
Oh, I
That
didn't
was
see the
pretty wild to
gorilla.
see. Yeah, it wasn't me. It was I think her name was Sarah. She was in the suit because he had 3 different suits attached to different things. So if you were in the suit attached to the big TV, he put it on the gorilla suit. I think there was maybe a samurai and like an Unreal environment, which was pretty cool to see that happening like live.
Yeah.
I think, was it Anthony
it-
that did a full-on backflip in the Rococo at camp?
Oh, see, I missed
Oh.
all of this.
I missed that.
It was legit. I wasn't there. I heard about it. It was
That's
like the legend
brave.
of Anthony at that point.
Yeah.
That suit ain't cheap.
Wow.
I'm curious how well it actually tracked, doing inverted flips like that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Was it a grayscale gorilla? The gorilla that
Honestly,
You-
I
you-
don't know. It just looked like a normal gorilla.
You should have brought Nick Campbell in there and then had him do a grayscale gorilla.
Joint
That would-
sponsorship for the
Nice.
win.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. Any other questions in the audience, in the chat? Do we have any other questions before we take off? Gotta get rid of the little spammy spam up in here, Gosh, spammers suck. I know, we're just so popular, everybody's gonna come spam us, whatever.
All the
We'll
bots.
keep watching, see if there's any other questions in there. In the meantime, where can people follow you online, ask you a question, check out your work, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, Instagram, I'm on there most, at dar.ivel, which is just my first and middle name cut in half. So it's dar.ivel. Or my website, which is hyperlinked to all my social media. And then my email is good if you ever have a question. But mostly Instagram, I'm on that the most.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I thought your Evil was like a play off of like evil and all the horror themes in there. So
Well, that works too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah.
Huh. I was way wrong.
That's okay. I like that description. That's the real reason right there.
Yeah, there's probably up and coming artists or artists looking to move into different areas of career who would be interested in, trying to learn how they could get into doing the same type of work. So,
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and tell them to contact you if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm always open just to share. Yeah, hit me up.
Boom.
Yeah. We really appreciate you joining us, and
Absolutely.
such a awesome job that you have. You know, really cool. We appreciate you taking the time and sharing it with us and everything. And Drysen too. Thanks for filling in for Matt.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, my first podcast, and I didn't die, so it's good. It's a good day.
Did great.
Yeah, he's out there at Club Disney, you know, doing his Disney thing. I told him make sure
It's the
nobody
happiest place on earth.
slips him a Mickey. No. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're going to get out of here, though. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review on your podcatcher of choice, help get our ratings up. You can subscribe on, your podcatcher, and it will be like, hey, the algorithm's going to push this up on iTunes a little bit, and more people can see it, that kind of a thing. You can also subscribe to the newsletter, which doesn't go out that much anymore, so we won't spam you too much. You can say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, the Paul Babb Feel the Babb 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. The Render Things t-shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve tee, which you are wearing.
Yes, I am wearing I don't think you can see it, but Render Things.
Yeah.
Favorite shirt.
Representing. And the Mograph Blandishment shirt, and of course the That Render is Fire shirt, which you are only allowed to wear ironically, unless you're Shams. Did you hang out with Shams?
No, I did not
No?
get a chance to meet her. No,
Cool.
I heard she was a night owl.
She was
Only
at
out at
camp.
night.
She was running around
Yeah.
at camp. She was just very hidden. you
Yeah,
know?
I met her briefly at camp.
Yeah.
One of those nights out on the deck and stuff. Just so many people.
we were all
So many people.
in the world
Yeah.
of
So many
things.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she was really nice for the brief moments I chatted with her. She's great.
Cool. All right, cool. Well, we're going to get out of here, though. Thanks again. And until next time, I'm Dave.
I'm not Matt.
And I'm
I'm Drysen.
Darlene.
Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, stand by, everybody.
We did it.
Yay.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let me get the live stream off here.